I want to walk through a Power BI sample that I put together that combines autocomplete filtering, some DAX, and a couple of different ways of visualizing events. This scenario came from a question I got from someone, and it's something that initially looked like it maybe was a problem with the autocomplete visual, but it turned out to be more about how matching works and how the data is shaped. That makes it a good candidate for a deeper dive, and I always welcome more ideas, so keep it coming. I'm going to walk through this using a PBIX file that I'll share on GitHub with a link in the video description. So on this first page, I'm using autocomplete to filter by address. And where can you find this visual? Use Get More Visuals and search for it like I'm demonstrating here. And by default, it uses contains matching, which is often what you want. But here, typing something like, say, 6 Lake Tahoe actually matches more than one row because that text appears in multiple addresses and even across cities. So in this case, I'm detecting that ambiguity in the DAX and intentionally not returning a result in the bottom left table. On the second page, I haven't changed the data at all. I've just switched the matching mode from contains to exact. Now, 6 Lake Tahoe kind of works more as expected, but only if I also filter by city. So that's a subtle point, but it's important. Slicer behavior and data modeling and how the user interact with the report are all interconnected. And on page 3, I take a different approach, actually. I introduce a calculated field that combines the street and city, which gives the two clearly distinct choices in the list. And picking either one now produces a unique match, which in turn lets me get a list of business locations and their distance to the entered address. On the right, I'm also showing upcoming events using a timeline style visual. On page 4, I swap out the timeline for a data-based calendar. It's the same data, just a different way of telling the story. And I'm not going to go into the implementation details too much here since the PBIX file tells the story through inline narrative and the code itself. And even though the sample uses some custom visuals, the bigger idea is that there's usually multiple ways to solve the same problem. And for me, the sample isn't really about features. It's more about understanding the data, anticipating ambiguity, and designing intentionally around how people actually use reports. And I'm interested in how people actually expect to use these types of tools and where that expectation sometimes breaks down. So if you want to dig into it, the sample's available to explore. And if this kind of walkthrough is useful, I'd be interested in sharing more short examples like this. And to encourage that, feel free to subscribe and like. And thanks for watching.